Kick off with David
guys.
Reed from Sky.
Hi, Brendan. It's Dave here from Sky. Okay, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, all good.
Good stuff. Let's start with team news to start with then. Has everyone come through okay after the other night?
Yeah, everyone available. We hopefully will have Timothy Castagna as well, which will be great news to get him back. And but apart from that, the squad will be the same. Daniel Amarte may well be available as well. So both those players would be great news for us.
And Castagna, is he fit enough? Are you confident to put him in from the start?
Well, that's what we'll say. We'll look at that over the next 24 hours. But he's come through training very well. He was close for the Everton game, but we felt best probably just to then keep him out and get him ready for the weekend.
What does he give you, and what have you missed having him out of the side?
Well, I think if you've seen him play, you see the penetration he gives the team, his running ability off the ball. He gets in behind. He's got great energy in the game, great enthusiasm, and but he's also a very good defender. Gives us a good profile in terms of set pieces and defending. And so if he's available, then he'll be a huge plus for us.
And is it also a plus to have Johnny Evans back from suspension, giving you that bit more experience at the back?
Yeah, Johnny's instrumental in how we work. Like Wilfred Ndidi drops into the back line and was outstanding during the week, but obviously when you have to move him, you're taking a top player out of the midfield sector. So Johnny coming back in will be very important for us.
And for Wolf as well, do you have to be careful with the amount of games coming up with him? He's obviously had some injury problems this season. I think it was his first 90 after coming back from that injury the other night. Do you have to manage his workload a little bit?
Yeah, that's what we've done in the other games that he's played, sort of building him up towards that 90 minutes. He's such a pivotal player for us. So we're just trying to manage, like all the players. It's obviously whether you've been injured or not, it's a really tough schedule. So and as you've seen with our squad, we've tried to use the whole squad throughout the season to try and have that intensity and energy in our game. But him in particular, of course, coming back, we're trying to ensure that we do everything we can to protect them.
On more general issues, the issue of 5 substitutes has been voted on again this week. I know you've spoken about it previously and spoken out perhaps that you were in favour of it. Were yourself and the club aligned in their position in the vote this week on 5 subs?
Well, I think in terms of from a football perspective, that was something that I said at the beginning of the season. We voted for 3, and then my feeling was as the season went on that 5 I'd certainly be in favour for that if that was something that was to be voted on. However, I think it's something that I've spoken to our chief executive here, Susan Whelan, who's fantastic at her job, and I also understand the bigger picture from the club's perspective. So we're very much aligned here, very much as one. And I was in favour of 5. However, I'm very much on the understanding where the club is at. So we were very much as one in our decision.
And how was that conversation then with Susan? She must have been quite persuasive for you, maybe?
No, it's absolutely fine. We've good contact. There's, like I said, it's something that's been ongoing now since the summer, and we've got great relations here, and we will now look to move on. Now the vote has happened, and we can get on and prepare the season. I think now what is also good is that you can have now a few extra players on the bench because those players are important. So at least that gives you the even greater flexibility within the game whilst making the subs.
Yeah, the 2 extra subs looks like it's going to be coming in as well. So how do you foresee yourself using that? Would you give opportunity to younger players coming through, or would you rather have more senior players take up those 2 spots?
Well, no, but we have a very youthful squad anyway. It just allows us players that are maybe travelling and just sitting outside. It allows them all to be involved. But our squad is fairly young anyway. So it just gives us that possibility in the game if a certain player gets injured, because it's the hardest job as a manager, or certainly one of the hardest jobs when you're trying to pick your squad of players that are training well every day, and at least if you get off in the place on the bench, and if something happens in the game, you can at least put them on.
And concussion substitutes has been voted in favour. Would you welcome that to come in as soon as possible, the opportunity for a concussion sub?
Yeah. I mentioned that a few weeks back when I was asked, David. I think it's something it's logical. If you get a head injury in the game, with the possibility to bring on someone whilst that player's getting looked after by the medical team, then that obviously makes sense to me. So hopefully that can get voted through and gets ratified, and we can get that into our game as soon as we can.
January's obviously coming up. Islam Slimani, players of his like, and Demi Gray. Have you had any sort of inquiries at all yet from any other clubs about availability of your players?
None that I'm aware of. No, I speak with John Rodkin here, obviously daily on lots of matters. So we've had nothing yet on any of those players.
And just a quick one on Jose and Tottenham this weekend. They almost got a little bit of a criticism. Some people said it was anti-football against Liverpool. What was your take on the Spurs performance the other night?
I haven't seen it yet. We were playing, so I haven't had the opportunity to watch that yet. We're going to analyse the game now after this press conference. But listen, you see how Jose has set up the team. They're set up very well in terms of they're very strong in counter-attack. They're very organised. They're very workmanlike. The players work very, very hard, and then they have talents in Harry Kane and Son that can give you great problems. So I can't comment on the game because I haven't seen it, but I've seen enough of Tottenham to know that they're very well organised. They look like Jose's team. They're a group of men who work hard, and they've got quality. So that's what we'll prepare for.
And I know you've spoken before about the new training ground, but do you know when you'll be able to get yourself and the players in there yet? Will it be the new year?
Not as of yet, but we're hopeful that'll be fairly soon. Just some operational items and that are being tidied up. But yeah, we're very hopeful that'll be soon, and we'll look forward to that.
Lovely, thank you.
Cheers, thank you, thanks.
Okay, Pete Colley, please.
Hey, Brendan. You okay?
Hi, Pete.
What was it like in the early days when Jose first came over and you went to go and work at Chelsea? What was the aura of the man in those days?
No, it was absolutely brilliant. It was a great step for me at that time. I'd been at Reading and had a lot of great experiences within the youth academy there, and now this was the opportunity to go to a big club like Chelsea, and the manager that was coming in was the European champion. So yeah, it was a wonderful experience. He was obviously very charismatic. He had a great way with the players. He was different to what the league would have seen. He had a wonderful personality, and he was very open in his communication with me. He was very sharing of ideas. Like I said, I was able to be in pole position really for learning, just watching how he operated, and just seeing someone that could, as I said, work closely with players, but obviously have that respect as well. So yeah, he was absolutely outstanding in that period.
I can only say I know him through a documentary, but he doesn't seem to be somebody who shrugs anything. And what do you make of taking Tottenham's best goal scorer, the country's best goal scorer, and convincing them to play in an attacking midfield role instead? Massive decision.
Not really. I don't think it is. I think if you look through the game, if you look at Roberto Firmino, does a similar role for Liverpool. Lionel Messi did it for Barcelona. Other players will do it, throughout time. So no. What I think what you're seeing is you're seeing rather than something being taken away from Harry's game, I think you're seeing something that's been added to his game. He's clearly a a wonderful goal scorer, got great ability finishing in and around the 25, 30 yards out. But what you're now seeing also is the ability of a player to drop underneath and make passes like a midfield player. So I don't think that nothing been taken away from his game if Jose's asked him to drop that little bit deeper. And I just think it's his natural intelligence also. In Harry, you can see he's a wonderful player. He's got a great football brain. So you'll see him dropping underneath and having that ability to make the passes. So I only think it's an addition to how they play rather than anything taken away from them.
How do you see this game playing out then? If Tottenham, once again, if they play like they did against Liverpool, soaking up pressure and then looking to counter, because it's quite similar to the way Leicester play themselves.
Not really. Not in certain games. We've played that way. I think that as you say, you've seen Jose's team, and we had a sample of it towards the end of last season where we get done from a corner and done on a few counter attacks as well. So I think the first goal is going to be very important. I think you don't want to be conceding too early because they show that they can they stay deep and in a defensive block, and then they get players that can really hurt you on the counter. So yeah, but we're looking forward to the challenge. They're a point ahead of us, second in the table. So it's a game that I'm really looking forward to.
And just finally from me, look pretty frustrated for yourselves against Everton the other night. How do you get that out of your system in the training ground so quickly? Because this next game's come along, pretty fast. Yeah,
it was a frustrating night I think purely because of the nature of the game. We've given away 2 soft goals, really. The first one and from the corner. So you end up going away disappointed. If you're not going to create as much as what you would like, then if you don't concede the soft goals, you take your point and you move on. So that was the only disappointment for it. But it doesn't dampen our enthusiasm. I think what we've shown this season is that the team can respond back well, maturing all the time, never getting too carried away when you win, never too disappointed when you lose. You're always hurt when you lose, okay, because that's the competitive spirit that the team has now. So, but the position that we're in after 13 games and European football, I'm absolutely delighted with that. But still, there's still so much for us to improve on.
Cheers, Brendan. Good luck.
Thanks, Pete.
Cheers.
Okay, Owen from Radio Leicester, please.
Hi, Brendan. Hope you can hear me okay and hope you're well.
Hiya.
I just wondered whether I could start with Timothy Castagna, who you said that is coming back to fitness, might be available to play this weekend. But you spoke about the profile of him, and I found that really interesting. I just wonder whether you could describe that profile and the skill set that he has that will be a real boost for you in the defensive areas and in that defensive third.
Yeah, what was certainly defending. He really gets in contention with people. He works very hard at stopping crosses and obviously then from a set piece perspective, he's a good size, so he can defend the box well. Something that we haven't been so good at for this season, considering how strong we were last season. And I mentioned before, when you're missing the likes of his height, Johnny Evans we had the other night, Wilf, who's been out of the team for a long time, and Soyuncu, then those are players that really help you in that defensive moment. So getting Timothy back helps us with that. But then on the attacking side as well, he's so good penetrating without the ball. His running ability, you've seen that early in the season. He wants to get up there. He wants to get in and score goals. So yeah, having him back and available definitely improves our squad.
After the game against Everton on Wednesday, Matt Piper said to us that he thinks he's going to take all of his expectations off of this Leicester side, and he's not going to be looking ahead to games in the future as much. As he said, you're sort of as likely to beat Tottenham on Sunday as to maybe losing a game at home to Fulham, and that's sort of in line with the way the league is going this season. I just wonder whether you might agree with Pipes, and if so, what you might put that down to.
Yeah, I think we've seen it over the course of all the teams, the inconsistencies that is there. And there's no doubt that there's a number of factors with that. I think you have, like, probably most teams, I would assume their home records maybe not as good as what they maybe were before. So the lack of a crowd, lack of that intensity, for us is definitely, I can sense that when we play at home. I think injuries and of course the numbers of games all in close proximity. So I think there's a number of factors within it. But I think what is key is that it's having that ability that when you do lose, or that you can bounce back again. I think that's got to be important throughout the season, and we've shown that. We've lost 5 times, but we've gone on and won 8 games and had sort of a bit of consistency. Then we lose a few, and then we go on a run again. So for us to lose the other night was disappointing. But we'll analyse it, and which we've looked at, and then we'll look to bounce back and try to ensure that we can get back on track again with a good performance and result.
Obviously, on the bouncing back side of things, how important are the because you've already spoken about the youthful side of the squad, those more experienced players that are dotted around, how important are they in and around the training ground, on the bus down to games, and before games, and of course during the match itself, to help the younger players bounce back and almost lead the way for them in an attitude sense in order to do that?
Yeah. Well, and that's what senior players are about. They've been there before. They understand that you can never get too carried away either way. It's you lose a game, it's disappointing, but you got to get in the next day and get on with it again. And especially with the games being so tight in this schedule. So that's something that is basically about a mindset, and our mindset is very, very strong. It's a very resilient group that we have, and we will look to get back on track again.
It's been spoken about Tottenham that they have some of the best counter-attacking, sort of plays and directions in the Premier League at the moment. And I just wonder how you think it might be best to set up to defend against that, because we've seen you play a 3 at the back formation that can sometimes become a 5 in the defensive system, but also we've seen a 4 at the back as well. What do you think works better against that counter-attacking football that they might implement on Sunday?
I think it's that balance between when you're attacking the game, that you're also protecting when you're building the game. So, like you say, I think last season, you think the game that we lost 3-0, where we conceded early in that first half. There was a goal from a corner and 2 from other sort of breakaways where we weren't really in big danger. But such is the quality, the likes of Son and Harry Kane up front are 2 of the best players in European football in terms of their qualities, and Son in particular with his running ability. So, but they also have other players as well. So it's just that balance between the attack and making sure that you're protecting, and those moments to press, and when you have to defend that a little bit deeper. So you have to play a really, really good game to get a good result, and that's what we'll plan to do.
Brendan, thank you very much. Good luck on Sunday.
Cheers. Thanks, Owen. Thank you.
Okay, we'll probably wrap the broadcast section there, guys. Say goodbye to our